Hello everyone, welcome. Today I want to stop by and make a short video to make some important points. The first point I want to make is that meditation is the secret, but not any meditation. Because as I said in a video I made not too long ago, which is on YouTube now, I said that there mustn't be the hand of man in it. It must be of God and lead to God. And so that means that all kinds of rituals and chanting and wordiness and emotions and various postures and poses and just about anything you can imagine that you see around the world has the hand of man in it. And then there are the ones who are teaching the meditation, and you see something false about them. It's the hand of man. It doesn't go anywhere. It just leads, at best, it leads back to that person. But quite probably it might lead to what's behind them, whatever they're an extension of. And at best, they're an extension of the world. You need something that's, I was going to say, out of this world. Yeah, it is out of this world. It's from another dimension. We live and move and have our being in the light and the energy and the fullness of our Creator and what He has given us. And yet we only see the things around us and we don't see the background. We don't see what's sustaining it. You need to see what's sustaining it. You need to find your Creator. He is the source of your life. Now, the hand of man. Do you understand the hand of man? And so the second thing about a proper meditation is that it has to be simple. Because any complexity, a nice man, he was one of the people in the human potential movement. I actually went to one of his talks one time. He said something that I think is quite good. He said that first our knowledge is simplistic, our understanding is simplistic, and then it becomes complex. But then when we really arrive, it becomes sublime simplicity, or divine simplicity, I like better. What you need is divine simplicity. It must be empty. You must be empty, and it must be empty to make space for your Creator and what He has for you. We fill our minds up, and people, fill your mind up with all kinds of stuff, don't they? So the meditation must be very simple. But, so I've given you two things so far. I said that it mustn't have the hand of man in it. So when you see all kinds of rituals and so forth, any kind of ritual, or planned or canned thing, you can see that there's the hand of man in it. So it has to be simple. And it has to be no hand of man in it. And then lastly, it must, I lost my train of thought. It must lead to God. Most meditations lead away from God. Why? Because that's where everything is leading you if you're not careful. Everything is leading you away from God, leading you into things, into feelings, into ideas, into problems, into entertainment, into thought, into daydreams, leading you away from God. But what you need is something that leads you back to Him, that leads to God, not away from God. Now, the reason why the things that lead away from God are so easy to accept, they're very easy to accept. That's why you see millions of people around the world doing all kinds of weird rituals and so on and so forth. Well, even Christ said, He said, you make the law of no effect by your tradition. So you see what I mean? So because it comes natural. See, your mind naturally wanders away. You are naturally interested in something that's naughty, or some kind of intrigue, or some kind of gossip. The idea of having pleasure and taking it easy and not doing your duty, that's more attractive than doing your duty. The idea of having more, being more, it's attractive, isn't it? The idea of taking vacation and having lots of pleasure and lots of excitement. All of these things lead you away, don't they? They lead you away. And so when it comes to various traditions and various rituals and various techniques, if they're just more of the same, they're very easy to accept. Why? Because coming back to God means facing the truth. It means seeing your own nothingness and realizing, seeing your own wrongness, your own falsity. And it leads to realizing that you don't know anything. And it leads to realizing these things which are negative. They seem negative, but they're only negative because of your ego involvement. See, when your ego is involved, your ego wants to be worshipped, wants to feel good, wants to be admired, wants to be right. Do you know anybody who never admits they're wrong? I do. They never admit they're wrong. Your ego, that's the way egos tend to be. So it's the proof. It's another proof that the Garden of Eden story is true. Adam was led away from God, led away by words, ideas, feelings, notions, and led to wanting more and on the outside. And now you must come back to God. So what I was going to say, I never did get quite to it, and that is that it must be a meditation that actually leads to God. Now, some meditations or practices seem good on the surface in that it seems as if they talk about emptying yourself and so on, but the problem is there has to be God there. If you try to empty yourself, then something else might come in. It's not good and not God. Something already has come in. It's not good and not God, hasn't it? Something already has come in. Something, an extension of something is in you. And what is it? It's some kind of pride, some kind of stubbornness, some will-o'-the-wisp, invisible friend that caters to your ego. And it's always at the ready to say, whisper things in your mind that you want to hear. And so it's already there. Now, how did it get in there? It got in because you were more separated than you were born. See, we're already born partially separated from God, but there's a link. It's your conscience, it's your intuition. Hate is a separation. So when you hate, you fall away from love. When you want something too much, you move away. See? You move away and there's an empty spot, an empty. So emptying oneself without God there is not a good idea. So maybe a better way of doing it would be to become still. See, God doesn't tell us to empty ourselves. He doesn't tell us to do any ritual. He doesn't tell us to follow some ritual. What does he tell you? He says, be still and know that I'm God. He wants you to be still. So how about just being still? Don't try to empty yourself. Don't try to think of nice thoughts. Don't struggle with the bad thoughts. See, they're both distractions. Don't have an image of yourself as being a holy person or wonderful or pious or good. And don't have an image of yourself as being terrible and bad and no good and so on. Just don't have any image. Just sit quietly. Can you do that? Well, now that's the problem. See, a lot of us, we're so fidgety. Our mind, we reach for this, reach for that. We're used to reaching, just as Adam did. He was the first one to reach, and we're born reachers. And then when we're not reaching, then we're lost in some kind of a daydream, floating away with that. See, that takes you away from God too, doesn't it? Takes you away into a never land of daydreams, reminiscing or thinking about the future or who knows what. See, so what you need to do is to become still. So, simple meditation will just assist you, will remind you to sit still. And from your still vantage point, you can then observe thoughts. Do you see how your thoughts are always running away? How your thoughts want to pull you into them? Just see that. That's all. No use struggling with them. That only involves you with them. Madame Guyon, one of my favorite people, she has this book. She wrote a book called A Short and Easy Method of Prayer. It's in French. I have it in French. And then it's been given various translations, the title, into English. And the one that I really like a lot is Experiencing God Through Prayer. There it is. They have a newer version now, a newer cover. And it was Whitaker House. And the editor, Donna C. Arthur, was the editor. And it's written in such a simple way. It's so easy to understand. And I think it's very nice. But anyway, Madame Guyon seems to get it. She understands that you need to become still. She understands that you don't need wordy prayer. God doesn't need all your words. If you could just be still and wait upon Him, that's all we have to do. Then watch all the things that come and want to distract you and pull you away. Just watch them. Don't fall into them. But listen to what she says. I'm reading from a chapter entitled Distractions. She says, perhaps now is a good time to deal with the problem of distraction while trying to pray. No matter how sincere about praying you are, there will come a time when your mind wanders and it seems impossible not to be distracted. Isn't that true? Our mind wanders. See, we're by nature, we inherit Adam's nature. That's why we need a new nature from God. See. Madame Guyon says, let me give you an important principle. Don't struggle with your temptations or distractions. It only seems to increase their intensity and draw you away from your sole purpose of seeking God. Simply turn away from the evil and draw nearer to God. If a little child fears an imaginary monster, he does not stand up to fight it. Instead, he closes his eyes to it and shrinks into the bosom of his mother for safety. The Old Testament had a beautiful expression, to be in the bosom of God. So that's where you need to be. So it's standing back from the distractions and the thoughts and all of that. Stand back from it, and you're closer to God and His light shines upon it. Let God deal with all of these things. Just stand back and be closer to your Creator and wait upon Him.